Dr. S.I.F. Philomen Raj, MSc, MPhil PhD, retired Head Department of Physics, Madras Christian College, Tambaram, Chennai. He is presently serving as a guest lecturer in Loyola College, Nungambakkam, Chennai. He has a teaching experience of 35 years in Madras Christian College for UG and PG students. His field of research is nuclear physics, and he has presented about 30 papers in symposia organized by Baba Atomic Research Center, Mumbai. He has guided 50 MPhil students and about 100 MSc students in their projects. He has authored practical physics books for MSc and BSc courses. He is presently engaged in writing a book on nuclear physics for Printers Hall, India.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in physics. So let us continue with the nuclear and particle physics. So today we will be discussing one type of accelerator, particle accelerator, namely the cyclotron. So the contents is going to be, we will explain the cyclotron, the construction of cyclotron, the working of cyclotron, and the theory behind that, the physics behind that. And so we will be able to proceed with the basic construction of cyclotron. So we will discuss the cyclotron, the construction of cyclotron, the working principle of cyclotron, and also the theory with the physics derivation. Already the previous class we have been discussing about Van de Graaff generator and also the linear accelerator. That has got its own limitation. Now this is a different technique where the particle, in a linear accelerator, the particle was moving in a straight line. Here it will be moving in a circle. Well, we will just go into construction and further discussion. So the cyclotron, it consists of 2D. We call it as a D1, D2. See, we have put as D1, D2. So they are only hollow cylinder, or it can be a cylinder. We can call it a cylinder which is a flat. So hollow disc. Suppose you take a hollow disc cut into two, and you slightly separate them. So you will be getting this one, D1 and D2. So there it's a hollow chamber which is semicircular shape. It's a hollow chamber. So you just imagine it's basically as a disc, upper end and lower end is closed disc. We can think about a hollow cylinder, up and lower are closed, and if the height is very small, it becomes a hollow cylinder, and we call it as D. So this is D1 and D2. Now they are separated by a small distance, and the two Ds are connected to radio frequency oscillator. So now here, when it is a radio frequency oscillator, it means it will be becoming like a sinusoidal oscillator. When this is plus, this will be minus. When D1 is plus, D2 is minus. When D2 is plus, D1 will be minus. So it will be alternating. Now you just imagine at the center, let us assume we are going to have one some particle. We are taking some particle which is a positively charged particle. Let us assume it is a positively charged particle. Then what will happen is this particle will be attracted towards D1 when D1 is negative, and it will be attracted towards D2 when D2 is negative, and again it will be attracted towards D1 when D1 is negative. So it goes on. That is, if you are assuming it's a positive particle. Suppose you assume it's a negative particle, so that particle, negative charged particle, will be attracted towards D1 when D1 is positive, and it will be attracted towards D2 when D2 is positive. Therefore every time the energy increases, therefore what happens is it goes in a spiral path. Finally it goes on in spiral, many circles it will make, spiral path, and finally it will come to the periphery. That will be the periphery last. After that it can just come out, and that will be used for the target. So this is the basic construction. We will just go into another diagram. Same thing what we are earlier one. Here it is a different, that was a top view, and this is a side view. So here we have got electromagnet. See, these two are electromagnet. So it's a top view, and this is the D. We are talking about the D1 and D2 are here. D1 and D2 are here. Now here this particle will be at the center, and it will make a spiral path. It will make a spiral path, and finally it will come out. See, it comes out, and it hits the target. So it comes out at the periphery. that is from the center, it will take a spiral path, the radius goes on increasing, and finally when it comes to periphery, that is the end of the disk D, it will come out, and that will be used by the to bombard the target. So this is basically principle. Now we will go to more physics of that. Now cyclotron is a particle accelerator, we have just now stated, and particle in magnetic field follow a spiral path of increasing radius. So the particle we would have studied in school also. So when a particle is subject to magnetic field, it will make a circular path. Suppose a particle is moving in this direction and you are applying a magnetic field perpendicular to that, it will start turning, it will go around. That is called Lorentz force. So the magnetic force will be it will be able to make the path, the particle turn into a circular path. So a particle in magnetic field follows a spiral path of increasing radius. So here the particle is moving in this direction along the plane of the D, and the magnetic field is applied perpendicular to the plane of D. Therefore it will make a circular path. So the basic principle is charged particles acquire energy due to alternating electric field. So here the magnetic field is for bending, that is for steering, and this, the RF oscillator electrical field is for accelerating the particle. So the charged particle will get accelerated by the RF oscillator electric field, and they will be taking a circular path due to magnetic field. So both are applied here. So the construction, it's a D-shaped hollow semicircular chambers. Already we said this one, semicircular chambers, or this one, D1 and D2. They are called Ds. So D1 and D2, so they are just calling as Ds. Ds are separated by a small distance. See this one, they are separated by a very small distance. So it's like, actually it's a disc, a hollow disc, and we are cutting into two and slightly separating them. So they are separated by a very small distance. Now D1 and D2 are connected to RF oscillator. So the diagram has been put again in this page so that I may not go back. So we have got D1 and D2 connected to RF oscillator as we already stated. So D1 is positive in 1/2 cycle when D2 is negative. So that's what we say. This is a RF oscillator. So it will be sinusoidal oscillation will be there. When this is positive, the other one is negative. So because it is connected in the two terminals are connected. So when this is positive, the other one negative. When that is positive, this will be negative. For example, if D1 is positive in 1/2 cycle, that is 1/2 cycle. So the cycle will be going this way. So this is called 1/2 cycle. In 1/2 cycle, if D1 is positive, D2 is negative. Polarity get reversed in the next half cycle. So the next half cycle, this will become positive, that will be negative. So we are getting alternating field. Therefore it will get reversed in the next half cycle. The source is at the center. So we have assumed the source will be at the center. Whichever particle we want to accelerate, that will be injected at the center of the cyclotron, center of the Ds, in that gap. Then naturally it will get accelerated due to the electric field. The magnetic field is applied perpendicular to the plane of D. So this is the plane of D, and it is applied perpendicular. So we got this is the disc, the Ds cyclotron. We got the D. Magnetic field is applied perpendicular to that plane of the Ds. So that will also be plane of the particle orbit. So the orbit will be there. So it will be perpendicular to the orbit. So now what is the working principle? So the S is positive ion source. We are assuming some particle is a positive source. As we already stated in the beginning, it can be positive or negative. But we are assuming a positively charged particle. Then it will be attracted when towards the negative D. Positively charged particle will be attracted towards whichever D is negative. So S is a positive ion source. We are talking about some positive ion source. That is a particle to be accelerated. When D1 is negative, so we have got the D1 and D2 put here. When D1 is negative, the particle will be accelerated towards D1 because it will positive will be attracted towards the negative. So it will be attracted towards that. It makes semicircle path due to magnetic field. So it will get attracted, and why it is bent, it gets attracted, it can't go in straight. Suppose there is no magnetic field, this particle will just go straight here, and whenever this one is negative, so it will be making only vertical motion like this. Because of the magnetic field, it is making circular motion. Because the magnetic field will bend, steering, it will steer, and therefore you get the circular motion towards D. So makes semicircular path due to magnetic field. Why we say semicircular? Because this D is only semicircular. The two D's together make a full circle. So this D makes a semicircle. What you have to do is, the frequency is adjusted in such a way that when the particle returns to gap, D2 is negative. Say this is a positive charge particle, it goes in a semicircular path. When this particle comes here, D2 must be negative, only then it will attract. So it must be exactly adjusted. When the particle goes here, this is this positively charged particle gets attracted towards D1, and when it comes to the gap, this must become negative, only then it will get attracted. Again, when it comes here in this gap, this should become negative. So when it goes here, when it goes to this gap, this should become negative. So the time taken for the semicircular path must be equal to the changeover from positive to negative. That's what we are stating here. Frequency is adjusted in such a way that when the particle returns to the gap, D2 is negative. Earlier D1 was negative, now D2 is negative. Now again it will make semicircular path inside D2, and when it comes back, D1 will be negative. So this goes on repeating. So when it returns to the gap, D1 is negative. Therefore this process is repeated several times. Positive, negative, positive, negative. So it comes here, this will pull. When it comes here, this will pull. So when it comes exactly, this must be able to pull. This D1 must be able to pull that, and when it comes to the gap, D2 must be able to pull it, which means that should change the polarity, negative, it should become negative. So this process goes on increasing. Every time the velocity goes on increasing, therefore what will happen? It will not be in stable orbit, it will go on increasing. The energy will see, suppose I take a rubber band, put a stone. Just imagine a rubber band, you are connected to a stone, and like a small boy you just go on rotating. As you make it faster and faster, the stone will go away due to the centrifugal force, it will go away. So it will take a larger spiral. So you go on increasing, it will make a bigger and bigger circle. Similarly here, because the energy increases, velocity increases, it goes to a bigger circle. So it goes on like this. So we are just showing maybe 3 or 4 spiral curves we are showing, but it will take a large number of curves, and then finally it comes outside. So every time the energy increases, velocity increases, and so the radius increases. That's what I just now stating. So therefore the particle takes a spiral path. It will not take a path of a constant radius, but it will take a spiral path, goes on increasing like a spring. Like a spring it will go on, it goes increasing. Finally it emerges out at the periphery. After that it can't go further. At the end periphery it comes out, maybe there is a hole, it comes out and it can hit the target. That's what we have shown here. So it makes a circle, at the end, at the periphery it comes out and hits the target. Now we will go to the theory. Now we have understood how it works. For a layman that is sufficient to say what is happening. Now we have to go for more physics derivation. Already we said the disk is there, the D's are there, magnetic field is applied here. So there will be a Lorentz force. Lorentz force will try to bend the particle towards the center, and the centrifugal force, the particle will try to go away. Both must be balanced. See, we have got the Lorentz force, which is the magnetic force which will bend the particle towards the center, that is BQV. Then we have centrifugal force, which is going away, the particle. So mv squared by r. In school also, even in elementary school we have studied the centrifugal force mv squared by r. Now these two must be equal. So I am just equating mv squared by r equal to bqv. And therefore we will just see what is the velocity. What is the velocity with which the particle enters one of the D's. So this v will get cancelled and I can take this r there, m down. So I get v equal to bqr by m. So this is the expression for velocity. Velocity when it is taking a radius r inside one of the D's. The time taken for semicircular path, so the particle goes in a semicircular path. What is the time taken? Time taken is the distance by velocity. What is the distance? Because it is for a circle, the circumference is 2 pi r. Now for a semicircular path it is pi r. So it is pi r by v, velocity. So the time taken is pi r by v, equation 2. Now this time should be equal to half period of the oscillator. Already that is what we have stated. When the particle enters, comes there, immediately this should change. So which means this is we get the oscillation, positive, negative. So when it comes to half cycle, so it should finish off. Then the other one will start pulling it. So the time taken should be exactly same. So this time taken should be equal to half period of the oscillator that we have RF oscillator that we have applied. Thus for synchronization, what you need is T by 2 is equal to pi r by v. See, this is the time. This is the time taken for the particle to take the semicircular path, and that must be equal to T by 2. T is the period of oscillator, T by 2. Just equated. What you get is, I am just rewriting T equal to 2 pi r by v. Already in equation 1 we had that expression for velocity. That is just substitute here. I will go back to equation 1 to tell what is that, to recall the velocity expression. Say this one. Velocity is bqr by m. Bqr by m is the velocity. So that bqr by m is substituted here. See, this is velocity bqr by m. Bqr by m, and I get this, and I will get this one, T equal to 2 pi, r will get cancelled. So 2 pi m by bq. So this must be the period of the oscillator, in order to have synchronization. So that is the period. Therefore what is the frequency? Frequency is 1 by period. Therefore we just put f equal to bq by 2m. This is period. Period is 2 pi m by bq. So frequency will be bq by 2m. bq by 2 pi m. This is called cyclotron frequency. This must be the cyclotron frequency in order to have the particle accelerated. Whenever the particle enters the D, there must be changes over from one D to other D. There must be change in polarity. In this, this is the frequency condition we are putting. And what is the kinetic energy? Kinetic energy is half mv squared. That is general expression. Now already the velocity expression we had in equation 1. So we are just substituting. So I will be getting E equal to half m. Instead of v, we have v is bqr by m. So we get b squared, q squared, r squared, m squared. This is the energy of the particle. See here, the energy of the particle we get only as a function of b, q, r, because we have substituted for velocity. Now we will just simplify this equation, and the next equation we get is E equal to b squared, q squared, r squared by 2m. Now as we said, the particle from the center, it will start accelerating, taking every time it will take a increase in radius. Finally at the end of the D, it will come out. Therefore we write that r is equal to capital R. What is that capital R? That is the size of the, or radius of the cyclotron, or radius of the D we are considering. So we get instead of small r we have put capital R, where r is radius of the D. Now here we find that the energy, maximum energy that we get, see here we have just E, and the maximum energy E max, you have put R equal to maximum R. So you find that when a large magnetic field is applied, and also if the size is large, it can get large energy. And when the magnetic field, suppose it is 1 Tesla, and you are making it double, 2 Tesla, then energy will be energy is not doubled, energy will become 4 times, because 1 squared, when you put 1 Tesla it is 1 squared, when you put 2 Tesla it is 4, 2 2s are 4. So we get 4 times, energy increases 4 times. Similarly, when you increase the radius of the D, maybe from 10 inch to make it 20 inch diameter cyclotron, you get energy 4 times increased. So we get is a function of B and R. The advantage is cyclotron is smaller than linear accelerator. So already we saw that in the linear accelerator, the particle will get attracted. It goes in a tube, and when it crosses from one tube to one pipe to another, there is a changeover of polarity. It goes on with higher velocity. There, the first tube, if it is 1 meter, second tube must be 1.414 meter. That is, the radius, the length will be increasing as 1, root 1, root 2, root 3, root 4, etc. So if you have maybe 100 pipes used for linear accelerator, the 100th will be 10 meter long. So it will take a long distance, a larger distance it has to occupy. Therefore, here instead of the particle going along a linear direction, here also it takes a large distance, but it takes a spiral path. Therefore, naturally it is able to, size is smaller. So that's what we have mentioned here. Advantage is cyclotron is smaller than linear accelerator. In order to get same energy, cyclotron is able to provide the same energy with a smaller size, because the path is spiral. Limitation: at higher energies, relativistic effects come into play. So here what happens is, suppose I make the radius bigger, then I get larger energy. But there is one problem coming in. That is relativistic effect. From Einstein's derivations, we know that there is mass variation. There is also a length variation. When a particle is moving with a velocity closer to velocity of light, there is length variation, there is mass variation, and there is time also changing. Okay, we have got that's a theory of relativity. So when the particle is acquiring energy and it is going closer to energy of closer to velocity of light, then mass will increase. When the mass increases, this the condition, the frequency condition will get altered. Why it gets altered? We will just see this expression. File frequency f is equal to bq by m. So here it is assumed that mass is constant. Suppose this mass is increasing because of the relativistic effect. The mass is increasing, then this frequency should decrease. Here the denominator is increasing. So the frequency should decrease, otherwise the particle will not get accelerated. The frequency should decrease. So that just keep in mind, because of the relativistic effect, the mass increases, frequency has to decrease. We will go back to this one. Now this limitation is there. So the next what you will be studying is synchrocyclotron. So this is cyclotron. When you say synchrocyclotron, it has to synchronize with the increasing energy. So there, just the expression we saw, when the mass is increasing, frequency has to decrease. So that is what exactly done in a synchrocyclotron. Magnetic frequency, it will be larger. Then as it goes, the frequency will be slightly reduced. So initially one frequency, then frequency will slightly reduce in order to accommodate the fast moving particles. Earlier class we discussed about the linear accelerator. Now we have discussed the construction and the working of cyclotron with the necessary theory, and there what we need to carry for the next type of accelerator will be that last expression you remember, or that concept at least. When the particle is having a larger, when the velocity is approaching velocity of light, the mass will increase, therefore frequency has to decrease. That will be the working principle of synchrocyclotron. So that will be, we will be able to discuss that having this background. Similarly, when you go to here, the particle was moving in the cyclotron, the particle was moving in a spiral path. It was starting and it is moving in the spiral path. Now the betatron, what is betatron? As the word says, next we will be discussing synchrocyclotron and also betatron. When you say betatron, there as the word says beta particle is electron is beta particle. So it is meant for accelerating electron. There is no spiral radius, spiral path. In the cyclotron the path was spiral, but in a betatron it will be having same radius. So here what we need to do is, the radius, say when the magnetic field is constant, radius is increasing. If we want to keep radius constant, magnetic field should increase, that is it. Understand? When the magnetic field is in the cyclotron, magnetic field is kept constant, and when the magnetic field is kept constant, radius is increasing, taking a spiral path. If you fix up the radius, magnetic field should change, So that is the principle, working principle of betatron, which we will be able to discuss in the next session. So we have just a few questions. Explain the principle of working of cyclotron. Already we have been discussing that, and derive the expression for cyclotron frequency. That frequency derivation is important and we need to carry that in mind, so that we will be able to understand the principle of betatron and synchrocyclotron. And magnetic field is doubled. What will be the increase in particle energy? So the increase in particle energy will be 4 times. Already stated, because magnetic field comes in the as B squared. Therefore when you double it, it will become, energy will become increased 4 times. Now here in this study of accelerators, types of accelerators, we will be finally giving you idea about the Large Hadron Collider. There, these are the basic types of accelerators used even in that CERN experiment, where hadrons were accelerated up to TeV energy, that is 10 power 12. Here all these cyclotron, these things will give energy in MeV, which is 10 power 6, whereas in the Hadron Collider in European country, we have got CERN, which is a latest particle accelerator, that also uses this principle. So we will be, after we understand this, we will be able to discuss those items also. There the energy is in TeV, which is 10 power 12 electron volt. So we will continue with betatron next class. Thank you.